Hi, good morning. It's Jim from maverickstar, and it really doesn't really make any difference at this point in time because I think it's already lost the game, and we know that no one's going to stand up. They're beaten down to the very last effort that they've got left in them. So even talking about what I'm about to is a bit of a waste of time. You know what? For most people, they might as well go off and watch pranks on YouTube because that's what YouTube want you to watch. They want to dumb your brain down so that you are drawling from the mouth with all this nonsense, and wherever there is truth, there is facts and hard evidence, you are going to be distracted from seeing it. At this point in time, it's game on. You know that the internet regulations have already kicked in. They're going after people that talk the truth, show people facts, and anything that these organisations like the United Nations say, and anything that anyone goes against that grain that they're talking about will be vilified, victimised, and they will be a target for this organisation to go after. It's already happening in the comments section. If you look down there, they are picking little things away at me, you know, to try and deter you, to make you think I don't know what I'm talking about, etc. But let's just look at what the Secretary General's opening remarks at the Climate Ambition Summit was on the 20th of September 2023. And I'll quote, "We can still limit the rise of global temperatures to 1.5 degrees. We can still build a world of clean air, green jobs and affordable clean power for all." Really? First of all, let's look into that 1.5 degrees Celsius and see where it makes a difference, if any. So we're looking at a chart which shows, over 13,500 years of climate and temperature. And you can see that the last time that we was experiencing temperatures as low as what we was 8,200 years ago. You won't see a single temperature chart going back more than 300 years by the United Nations. Not one. And where we are right now on the right hand side of this chart is the lowest period of time that we've experienced temperatures this low since 8,200 years ago. They won't talk about the medieval warm period, the Roman warm period, or the Hallucine warm period. They won't talk about glacial and interglacial periods because they know then that once you understand that we do go into glacial periods and that the temperatures do rise and fall, and that we have been in a very special lucky period for the last 12,000 years. We have managed to thrive to the numbers that we have on this planet. They won't talk about this. Not one single word. Judge them by the works. That's what the Bible said, didn't it? It also said something about another thing which they're not going to like me talking about because they know that religion is still hanging on there by the thread, and that people do believe that there is some genius work in the Bible, because it talks about something else which these evil people from the United Nations and those that work for them and those that are going after the YouTubers that work for YouTube, that work for the governments, they're evil, wicked people. Know this and judge them by their works. Even the Bible says that. Even the Bible says, refine the rubbish and you will refine it into gold. These people that are lying through their back teeth to steal money off you without you even giving it to them are lying. Lies, lies, lies. Fake news after fake news. We've all seen it. Okay, let's just talk about one little simple thing. Where's all the news now on Ukraine war? No. What's more important? Oh, Israel and the Palestinians and Gaza. That's where your attention's been constantly diverted to and from. Wars and pandemics. Always confusing you, but you know what's happening as we speak? You can't even see the magical hole in your wallet. Your money's disappearing out of your pockets and you're supporting all these things. Where you have a choice to support channels like ours if you want to. But most people nowadays don't want to. I've seen what people are cutting back on, in this country, in the United States, because of the hardships of increased inflation. increased interest rates. You know, it's all been done on purpose. They lowered the interest rates for years so that people would take mortgages and loans out, and then they up them so that people lose their properties. You know what this does is generate billions of pounds in this market for these rich, greedy hedge funders. I want to show you something. I know, it's 5 months old, but the Prime Minister Netanyahu visits stakeholder foods to test 3D printed food. Guys, you just have a little search on YouTube about 3D printed food and have a look what they're putting in it. You know, they're using fly larvae as a protein source to put in this 3D printed food. Look, I'm not joking. Look, this is Netanyahu, right? And we all know who he is recently. Visiting 3D printed factories, because this is going to be your future. And you can just do a quick search on this. Yeah, look, 3D printed meat cuts like steak. If you just look into what's been put into some of these 3D printed foods, and you know that this is coming. Maggot larvae, banks, you know, constantly reproducing maggots, squashing them up, adding flavours to them, and then pushing it through an injecting nozzle so that it prints up a nice looking T-bone steak. You know what? Let us go to the boss for his opinion on what he thinks about all this, what's going on in this day and age. And you know it as well as I know what's coming next. But let's resort to the Bible to see what it says about eating such things, about maggot larvae, yeah? And we'll know what times we're in with these evil, wicked demons. Where have they come from? But it just seems like they're everywhere now. You know, they've took control of governments by using the United Nations. They're everywhere. And I ask you, have they made your life today better than what it was yesterday? Have they made it better than what it was a year ago? Because we're in decline now. And I don't think many people realise it, because their brain is focused on wars, pandemics and everything else, whilst everything in the background is being turned away. It's a magician's trick. Watch the hand that's waving at you and don't pay any attention to the other hand that's under the table. This is just ridiculous. Look at what the Bible says about things like this. This is in the King James Bible. It's Leviticus chapter 11, 41, and I'll just read this one paragraph. And every creepy thing upon the earth shall be an abomination. It shall not be eaten. So if you want to commit abomination and offend God, then eat these 3D printed steaks that are made of larvae, which turns into things with more than 4 legs. You eat it and you commit an abomination to God. Tell me something. Where are the religious leaders, you know, saying, hold the fuck up? This is an abomination and it's not going to be passed by us. They ain't saying a word. The Pope's not saying a thing about it. Not just the Pope, it's other world religious leaders. They're not saying nothing about it. It's because the corruption has infiltrated even those at those levels. What they want us in this woke society to be concentrating on is when, you know, we should be telling our children the rights and wrongs. They want us to tell the lies to them. You know, it's okay for a sex change at, 15 and 16. If you are not happy with the body that God gave you, you can change your sex to whatever type you want. You know, they want us doing all sorts of abominations. And you've got to ask yourself, what sort of creature would do that? It would only be a demon, wouldn't it? I mean, it's got to this level, guys. And this sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it's happening in front of everybody. And the majority of people are allowing it to happen. It's like we're living in the days where they created the golden calf and started worshipping that as a symbol of God. How much offence was that against him when he said, do not create an image, any symbol in my image? You know, people don't care anymore. You know, we are living in limited hours here in these days. People just simply are focused on other things. You know, is it any surprise to you that after you get your mum's salary, that there is no money left after you've paid just the rent and brought a bit of food? It's a luxury these days to put the lights on in your house and put the heating on at the same time. It's because the United Nations, the European Union and the world governments are infiltrated with demons. I'm not kidding you. If the world religious leaders won't tell you, I fucking will. They're just evil, pure, murderous bastards that only want you to do one thing: give them your labour. You know, what's been done in this day and age has happened many times before. And you know why the Bible's so right? After being 2,000 years in print, is because they knew that these cycles came many times. The Roman Empire come to an end, the Egyptian Empire come to the end, the British Empire is dead. And if you think that there's an American Empire about to happen, it's not going to happen. You know, the world is changing right in front of your eyes. You know, I do feel sorry for American people right now because of the state of their economy. And, you know, we have people sleeping in cars all over the world now because their governments failed to protect them against landlords that had the legal right to evict them simply because they had no money to pay for it. And the reason why they had no money is because of the governments allowing energy companies to put the price up so high that they could not afford to pay rent and heat the house to keep the kids warm. And guess what happens? When the kids aren't being fed and they're not being kept in warm conditions, they get took off you. So the government could have prevented these things happening. But instead, they did the opposite. It's like when you switch on the mainstream media and you start listening to what's happening, it's 180 degrees away from the truth. And they back it up with more lies. You know, I'm not even going to talk about that conflict going on anymore in Israel because there's just no point. There's just simply no point. Because the United Nations are laughing. You know, the industrial complexes are just laughing. The military complex is laughing. And big pharma companies are just laughing. All the way to your taxpayer's purse, your taxpayer money. And you know what? Nobody's taken to the streets. Nobody's upset about it because what are they doing? The back is in the corner of the wall. They know they've got no more money. They can't cut back on any more enjoyments because they don't have any anymore. So they still haven't realised that there's no further back to go. You'll have nothing and you'll be happy is what they said. And that's why all the homeless people you go out there and see will be skipping down the road singing merrily songs. Not the case, is it? Well, those are people that have nothing, and those people are certainly not happy. I'm telling you now, cities are toxic places. And we was encouraged out of, you know, small villages where we had safety in numbers, the community all thought, you know, along the same lines, and it worked. We was coaxed out the cities, out these little villages in rural areas into cities because why? They told us that there was plentiful jobs, there was all the amenities and facilities that you'd need at a convenience for you. You just turn the tap and water come out. You didn't have to go to the local well. You know, we'd provide shops for you. You know, there would be plenty of jobs. Well, the only jobs now, and this isn't just a case for the UK, the only jobs in the UK now are service-based. There is very little manufacturing going on in this country. We started the Industrial Revolution in 1760. But now, we've been sold out by greedy, rich individuals that, you know what, I remember reading a book where it was talking about this situation, how people would act that banks would even sell their own currencies out. That's what we've seen happen in America. You know, I mean, there is so many federal laws being broken in America right now. And tyranny is absolutely there. And people have the rights to do something about it, legally, according to, you know, the Bill of Rights. You know, it even spelled out the actions. If the government done this, if the government done that, you would have the legal right to do this. And we're just seeing people just sit there. You know, there's not such a thing in the UK. Nobody's even clear in the UK whether we still have human rights. I mean, we heard David Cameron talking about the Magna Carta. But anyone that's ever looked at the Magna Carta knows it was stripped back down to just a skeletal feature. There was no meat on the Magna Carta. So we have no real rights legally. We just have a load of fat politicians that are expanding, you know, governments beyond a spiralling out of control manner. You know, just creating bullshit jobs for people. It's a ridiculous scene. And there is only one place for all this to go, and that is for it in the bin. And it will happen. So just sit there. I can't predict the day when all this is going to happen, but I can tell you it's coming. And I think you know that as well. Because even the days of you hearing of such thing are gone. It's just a matter of time. You know, the legal laws that are going to govern the internet now, or the digital space, as the Grand Secretary General puts it, from the United Nations, they are going to go after anybody that sings from a different hymn sheet to them, regardless of whether there's truth or not. You know, they will see it as something that needs to be put down. And why? Why now do all this? Because they know the days are numbered. And they can only, you know, keep up the act before people spot, you know, that the magician is just doing tricks. We can see the string attached to the coin. We can see the coin going down his sleeve. You know, they can no longer be on that stage, because none of us are impressed. Now we see how the tricks are being done. You know, it's just a matter of time before we start throwing garbage at them and telling them and booing them off the stage. And I can't wait for that day to happen. Because, you know what? They go round accusing whoever they want of being a terrorist, when, like I said, 180 degrees, you turn the truth around, or their truth around, and you find the real truth. They're the terrorists. They're the ones that are giving weapons to people and giving them the excuse to kill each other. They're evil. They are straight from hell. And we are, it seems, in those end times that the Bible talked about. You know, we've got Bill Gates, you know, probably one of the leading companies, one of his companies in the field of, you know, 3D printing meats, using, you know, the abominations of earth and giving it people. You know what, people got no time for the Bible. Some people that are watching this right now have never even picked up the Bible or any religious book, and let alone even read more than 3 pages of it. I've read the Bible probably about 5 times, and that's why I can remember reading things like this in Leviticus. You know, you are not supposed to eat, you know, the creepy, crawly things on this planet. And the Bible said that. The words of God said that. And we have our world leaders that are oblivious to this directions in this book. And that's why, you know, they say it's fine. We have the worst kind, I swear, in this world leading us. If you managed to get this far in this video, guys, you know, well done. You know, I've talked about a lot of things. You know, I would be interested in your comments on 3D printed food, on whether you feel 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature rise over the last 100 years is any significance to the grand scheme of things. You know, I'm interested in your opinions on how the economy is going. You know, here's a little community whilst it's still here where you can share those views freely, you know, in the comments section. And if you look in the description, there's a link where you can support our observatory. Support people that are telling the truth and providing the facts and the evidence. Good people can be judged by their works. And I've not, like the United Nations, I have not given anybody any reason to be cruel to anybody else on this earth other than the evils within it. I think God just wants us all to do the right thing at the end of the day. Anyhow, guys, I've gone off long enough on this tangent. There is a link there if you want to help support us. It'd be nice to see a few people do that. You know, yesterday, one person chipped in a few bucks. That's how bad things have got. So if you want to, the link's there. I'll say what I usually do. You take care of your loved ones. Be safe, as always. Bye for now.